back to the 5th episode of the Metal Antics podcast. Today I'm joined by my co-host Isaiah.
Hello.
Michael.
I'm Isaiah.
Shut the fuck up. And we're here with the entire band of Court Order. How's everyone doing today?
What's going on, guys?
Hanging in.
So you guys are here. We're at Hellheim Studios in Raleigh right now, and they're recording a little something special, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on a few things.
Couple things.
Yeah.
You guys have been here all week, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. So just tell us how it's been overall.
Well, it's been pretty cool. We spent the last couple of weeks before we booked this week really throwing riffs digitally. So the band is originally from Brooklyn, but 2 months ago I moved to Orlando. This is Ace, by the way. I play drums in the band. And the way that the band started was really us just getting in a room and playing our music and having a real organic process to what we do. And the last EP that we put together was really all the songs that we had written from the very beginning. And then as the band grew and we got JD in the band, we really wanted to be a little bit more intentional with what we were writing. And we spent the last couple of weeks just throwing riffs back and forth through WhatsApp and texts and voice memos and really compiling everything into a folder in Google Drive. And then we organized everything and then put a week to come to Hellhound and really iron it all out. So in the last, we booked 4 days. Tomorrow we're filming a video here. But the last 4 days we've been able to, so far, write 9 songs and track 6 demos. And that's what we're looking to leave with here. So it's been very rewarding.
Sweet.
Yeah.
This is the off day.
Oh yeah.
What about your new music? Are you guys allowed to talk about how does it differentiate from your music you already had out from your EP that you dropped, or how different is it from that? Are you sticking to the same type of style?
It's very, I would say it's more, the songs we had in the original EP was just stuff that I and Ace had from years ago. So now these are songs that we all just sat down and finally kind of worked at as a group, or took different ideas. So it's definitely represents who we are now, as opposed to just coming in there with different riffs and just pasting them together. So it's a different sound, but it's really not far off.
Yeah, at first we would just go in a room and just jam it out, and nothing crazy, So when we actually got to be home and really crack down on what we like to hear, and bringing them, and he's already knows what we got because he's been listening to it in Florida.
Ace is also a giant drum machine itself.
So he's been playing beats in his head.
Yeah.
And when we come here, it's already we're just taking them out of the bag and putting them together and watching it come to life, which is awesome. And it's been the best process.
Yeah.
I think something we're going to continue doing. So it's also very, I don't know, it's very diverse of sounds. And
it's more dynamic than
it's
other stuff,
a lot more
honestly.
dynamics.
And then,
Interesting.
no
a lot of stuff you're going to hear that you would never expect Court Order
Yeah.
to put
Yeah,
in.
I think
Yeah.
we're always going to be a heavy band.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we set out to do. We position ourselves as a metal band, but anybody who listens to us are this is a metalcore band with a hardcore influence. And we hear all this kind of pigeonholing with the genres, but I think we all have a lot of influences, and from Poison the Well and Misery Signals, Acacia Strain. And there's so many things that are happening now with new hardcore, bands like Chamber, Serration, Boundaries just came out with an amazing new record. So we're hearing what some of these bands are doing, and it's really inspiring, taking the sound to a new level. And like Zay said, in the beginning, you want to be a band and you want to put stuff out there. So, we started with Infinite Decay. It was a bunch of singles that we did, and you can tell as we released the singles, we started to elevate our game and we get more comfortable working together. And then when we did the EP, we spent a weekend here. Same thing. We came in, with the ideas, and then did drums one day, guitars and bass the second day, and then the third day we did vocals. And then we realized, like, wow, when we get together and like really give us a chance to do the damn thing, like we can really come up with a lot, right? As opposed to just writing and recording really quick. So one thing that I think is very different to what we were doing before is I think me being okay with getting the riffs first. I think what's really important is having really, really strong riffs and then going back in and layering drums as opposed to like having a rhythm in our mind and then trying to fit something to it. I think
that rhythm,
having strong writing from the melody of it all, I think is kind of the root to what we're working on. So we're really excited about what we're writing, man, and it's definitely taking our sound to the next level.
Cool. So I was gonna ask, like, let's get some background. How did this group come to be in the first place?
Oh, it's a cute story.
So I mean, we're coming up on like 2 years as a band.
Yeah.
You know, we staked claim to the band in February of '19. So that's like when we dropped our first single. You know, Zay and I have been jamming for a while. We knew each other from other bands, just playing around New York City, and you know, from there, like we just wanted to write and like play music. You know, I got tired of sitting around in the house and like not playing the drums. And you know, in New York, it's like being a drummer is like super difficult because like you don't have the garage or like a room in your apartment to do that stuff. So the only way that I could afford to do it is by finding people to jam with and like going into a studio and splitting it with them, right? And I'm also like not the kind of guy that just like likes to sit in a room and play the drums for 2 hours and like pay $50 and then go home. Like I don't. That's not how I have fun in this. And I also don't really like the digital stuff much. I mean, I get that like I'm a dinosaur in that, and like Zay's helping me learn how to program digital drums, and it's like me taking my own like best interest to the next level. But that was something that was really important. You know, you'll hear our other interviews, and like a lot of the stuff that you hear this band talk about is the organic process of what we were doing, and being a real band was really important to us. And then from there, Zay was able to get in contact with a lot of people. He got us our first show at a Battle of the Bands in Porta on a rooftop. And like we showed up with a bunch of merch and like sold a ton of shirts and like got a lot of really good feedback. And then that's when we were like, well, maybe this is like a little bit more than just Zay and I getting in a room and jamming. And then from there, you know, Oscar was working with Zay's wife at the time, and she knew that we were looking for a bass player, a guitar player. She knew that we were piecing this together. So that's Oscar joined the fold, and then we were working with another band, Indrid Cold, and their singer Miles Anderson, and he did our single Hit Harder. And, you know, he had other commitments, and he introduced us to JJ, and, you know, and then JD joined the band when we, you know, played a couple shows at the Meat Locker with one of his bands. And, so, I mean, it was like a really, like, organic process. And I think what I take away from the whole thing is, like, it's very hard to start a band. To anybody that's listening to this, is like, if you want to start a band, just, like, get going, because the idea of having 5 dudes in a room and, like, entertaining a brand is, like, super complicated for many people, and it's like hard to commit to something that doesn't exist yet. So when Zay and I started to put the singles out, it was like really easy for JD to take an active interest in it. Like, oh, this band has merch, they have, you know, songs out already, like I can learn, I can come into the room and do something. But when you don't have any material and like people are coming into the room and like you guys don't really have chemistry yet, like and you got to kill 2 hours and put money to get there, money on studio time, it's like a little bit like, you know, there's not meat on the bone there for you.
It's going to take a lot longer to actually do anything to a degree.
Yeah, and to like get that commitment, you know, and it's just like anything, right? So like once you start, it's kind of like a little painful, and that's when you see all like the scabs and like that's like all the cuts and bruises. But then as it gets going, it gets a little bit easier to kind of onboard everybody, and then, you know, so that's kind of how we got to where we are now, and now we're just like exploiting the talent. Yeah, you know.
I feel like I always talk about the chemistry that we have. I feel we are a really lucky band. Like the chemistry that we have for writing, the chemistry that we have on stage, like you can feel it. It's like, I don't know, it's like, it's really cool. Like, so I feel like we're a really lucky band that we have that. Sometimes you have to find the right people to do something, you know, and we found each other. So I was like, wow, that's really cool. So yeah,
that's great, because I'm sure there's bands out there who do great, you know, they hate each other, but you guys seem to have like the full love for each other and
For
chemistry.
sure.
So I'm sure that helps with the writing process plenty, and
Way easier.
practicing
sure.
and
For sure.
Way
Oh,
easier,
we were
way
saying this last night. Like last night, Oscar and I are sharing a room right now and sharing a bed, and like we were.
that's what's
I'm
up.
a man. Yeah, I'm cool. You know, it's all right. But like we were going to, it was like 11:30, and it's like our third day of sitting here writing, and like we're just exhausted, man. You know, it takes a lot out of you to play the drums like for 5 hours a day for 3 days in a row. Like, you know, it's for any drummer out there. If I'm doing something wrong, or if you got any tips, like just drop them in the comments. But like honestly, like I'm over here holding this little like thing to just keep my wrists going and my forearms going, because I know I got like today and we got a video tomorrow, and but even when like at the end of the day yesterday, we're like sitting around the kitchen table, you know, we got a couple of beers, but like then it's like bedtime. Like we're here to do work, you know, and
We were out like what 12:31ish.
yeah, you know, and like don't get me wrong, like I like to go out and have a good time, but like what's, you know, in any other circumstance, like anybody else looking at an opportunity of like hanging out with the boys for a week, like, you know, you're gonna be crushing beers, somebody's
Yeah.
gonna like try to go get a bottle of tequila in the middle of the night, and like we're just not gonna get anything done.
When
So,
you gotta
like,
crack down, you gotta crack down. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, so like I think that that's something that's really cool too. There's like a professional maturity to this group that I'm very lucky and grateful, and like I think that we all understand that we're very fortunate, and like we have
Yeah.
to like compromise, and like, you know, we're also very conscious that like words matter, like how we talk to each other and like how we feel about each other's opinions. Like you can't just slam somebody down for having a crap idea. Like there's a certain way to like engage with people, and that's like in any relationship, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's like I treat this like a like the same relationship that I have with my wife. Like I constantly have to like watch what I say, because like once you put shit out there, man, it's like
It's out there, yeah.
there's
for
no
sure.
going back.
Yeah, for sure.
You
for
know,
sure.
so
It's tough.
that's something that I think has really helped this band. And like even if someone's acting up or saying something that you know, like, you know, you got to go Gandhi on them and like be the change you want to see, and like, you know, and that's I think in any working relationship, whether you guys working on the show
Yeah.
or, you know, if you're at work, you're butting heads with a colleague, like fighting fire with fire is never going to get anywhere. So that's something that I think it's made the band itself has just made me a better person. You know?
For sure.
Would you say like the whole chemistry, how you guys are all friends and everything, how would that affect the music video? Would it be like a more serious music video, or is it just you guys are all like hanging out, chilling, you know?
I would say it's more serious
More
than anything
serious.
else.
I don't want you guys to spoil the music video or anything,
of
but I'm
course
saying
not.
like, yeah, like you describe it. How would it? Yeah.
I feel like I mean, of course there's time like to like, you know, joke around and like whatever, but when we know that we have a video, we have like something like serious, okay, this is what we have to do. We have to be serious right now. It's
Gotcha.
not like, you know, but there's time like, of course in the house, like, we joke around and all, but when there's time to be serious.
Yeah, we like to
for
project
sure.
ourselves as like a serious band.
Right.
But no, of course we joked around. Like we were like, we're gonna have you change the tire in the car.
Yeah.
We were like,
Getting
No,
screamed
no,
at.
no, I think that's
How
like
you doing?
I think
You know,
that's like a huge thing with
like we were looking at other music videos, saw the Acacia Strain, was it The Hills Have Eyes, or whatever. Like,
right. It's
and
like
we were like, that's like a funny music video, but I don't think we would ever do something like
comical and stuff.
I don't know.
No. I mean, it's like
Maybe.
I kind of feel like it always like, you know, the perception is like if you're like a really like heavy band that is like a, you know, like a group of like tough guys or something, and it's like all the heaviest bands I've like personally met, they're all like the sweetest fucking dudes ever. They're like
yeah,
really
definitely.
nice people.
Yeah.
It's like really easy to talk to. So, you know, like what we play really doesn't like define us as people. You know, like none of us are like assholes or anything. So it's
No.
very.
Yeah, you look at the music, it's very serious.
Yeah,
but
it's
you
very
look into
serious,
more
but
of it, and you see all of our other videos on YouTube and everything. You
Yeah,
can see
like,
what's
we're
really
all just-
behind us.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy
It's-
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of bands out there that like put out a music video now, and they're like a deathcore band like Chelsea Grin. They just put out a music video. It's just cowboys and shit.
Right.
But the song.
I was gonna talk about that.
Right,
yeah,
right, right.
I was gonna
But
talk about
when
that.
when you hear the song, it's like, oh, this is fucking heavy.
It's
and
crazy
shit.
as fuck. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
but then you watch the video, it's just like cowboys beating the shit out of each other. And like, what the fuck? I would expect murder in a music video,
Yeah.
like by a deathcore band. But no, it's good that you can kind of, you know, explore the comedic side of music and just have
course.
fun with it sometimes. And I'm sure when you guys write music, you're always having fun with it. But there is definitely a serious side.
You
Oh,
never
yeah,
know where it's
always.
gonna go, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Right now, it's
I
kind of
think-
serious, but
Like at the end of the day, it's entertainment, and like, you know, however you want to look at what we're doing, like this is like a crack at show business. You know, like media is always going to be and entertainment side of it. So like when we take time and make an investment to disengage from our professional lives and come and do court order, like we want it to be intentional. So like, you know, like I love Blink-182's First Date music video, but like that's not what we're going for. You know what I mean? And like you can tell from Chelsea Grin's video, like there's like thematic elements to that, right? Like that it's still a serious video, right? I mean, it's still like a blockbuster like kind of vibe to it. So
yeah,
like,
there's like a lot of production value to it.
correct. Yeah. So like the quality is super important to us because like if somebody's gonna invest in court order, whether it's like buy our merch or listen to our music, like we're taking time from them, and like their time is money. Anything that they could be doing otherwise, and then they're engaging in our world, like we want them just to feel value. So like a lot of like what we talk about is exactly that, is like just making things count. You know, and that's like to the video's sake, like, you know, we want it to be entertaining, you know, and I think that yesterday we were talking about like when we were writing the song, and we're like, oh, it's like, is it too much slam? Is it like too aggro? Like, you know, we have too much, you know, and at the end of the day, like what helped us out of that was, let's not like try and fit a rubric. Like, let's just do what we feel natural doing. And, you know, that's kind of, and when you see people that are successful, that's like what, usually they tell you, it's just like do what you think is the right thing to do, and you know. But the videos for our new song split between a dream and a failure that we're releasing. Hopefully, we expect it out in February. We just got this awesome distribution deal with Blood Blast Distribution, so that's going to be a game changer for us to help to get them to help us out and put that out there. So we definitely want them to fuel something.
Super grateful for that too, honestly.
Yeah, that's super intentional. So look forward to that.
Cool. You have
So,
some?
yeah, I got some. So I wanted to ask, so since you guys are all good friends, do you think that helps with one of your members, you know, not living here anymore, living in Florida? Like, you feel like if you guys weren't as close, that would have messed up the band? You feel like all you being so close is what really helped you stay together?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's a, you know, like, no matter how you look at it, like, you're, like, investing money and time, it's a job, you know, like, if something happens to your job, like, you still gotta do it. So, like, him just moving away, you know, it's easy now, Dropboxes and, like, media files, and, like, it's not, like, the band's not gonna stop moving just because, you know, we, like, lost a piece of it, so we're always gonna make it work. Being friends is a plus, of course, but, you know, like, we invested, like, 2 years into this just to, you know, kind of, like, slow down or, like, lose anything. It'll be the same for any of us, you know, we leave and come back or anything, and it's, band's still gonna be there.
Yeah, I feel like anyway, it was like kind of a trip. Like every time we want to like practice or something, because like they're in New Jersey, I'm in the city. Like
Yeah. We always make it work.
It was not like that close, like in the same neighborhood. Of course not. But so it was like, okay, so we had to rent a car and then go fix it, and, you know. So it was like it's also the same. So he's coming like from like Florida, but it's the same. Like we have to plan the whole thing. We have to book the studio and everything. So.
It's not easy.
It's not easy at all.
It's, you know,
it's
like,
but
a
it's
lot of bands, like, it's all their homies, and they get to, like, come to my house, we go in the garage, like, you know, but this is, like, it's a totally different world.
So, but
the playing has never changed, honestly.
No.
You know, no matter how far a band member or a person really is. Because if you have to get down to business, you still have to get down to business no matter what it is. You got to crack down and everything like that.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like that. It shows that you guys are really committed, because I know, like, some bands, once a member moves away, they'll try to replace them for a member and all that.
exactly.
So it just shows how good your guys' connection is. Like, that's really good to hear for a band, that you're not going to kick somebody out ever.
No,
that's just going to be the same
that's
homies.
crazy. Yeah, no, that would be crazy, dude.
Oh, you told us, like, don't worry about it.
We all trust each other, dude. Like, we're all
I have
grown
no doubt
adults.
about it.
Yeah,
I feel
no
like we
doubts
all
about
want
it.
the same. Like we all want the same. We have the same vision. So that's what we like. No, we keep like we're gonna stay together. We're gonna go through this, and a lot of things are happening for us. So that's really cool.
A ton,
I mean, I get that this is a question for everybody else, and I'm glad that thanks for asking that. Now I know how everybody really feels. But I think that there's a time for it, right? And I think that if it was at the infancy of the band and like we were still trying to get our act together and like we didn't really have much material out there, the brand wasn't as developed,
It'd be a little tougher.
it'll be a little harder, you know what I mean? And like I don't even know if I would have the same vested interest in it. you know. But at this point, like, you know, we have like, you know, we're starting to work with a management company. You know, we have a distribution deal. Like, it's becoming like there's fulfillment, there's merch. Like, part of like me moving out of Brooklyn, like, the more money that we spend to advertise on the band, the more merchandise we need. And like, as long as our marketing budget stays a certain size, our fulfillment can only stay a certain size. So like, as we start to amplify those things, like, it gets very, very hard to manage this entire thing out of a 700 square foot apartment in Brooklyn. So a big part of, you know, that transition is, you know, for me to be able to expand the brand at a place that's more cost effective and it's more strategic. I think there's a couple of pluses to it. I think it creates a new connection with a new scene that we can start to network with. You know, we are a regional band. Right up until now, we've been in Philly, Massachusetts, and you know, we've got an opportunity to play like the tri-state area. So, you know, this creates a door to walk through in a completely different scene. But I think that, you know, to think that the band members like should all live together is kind of like this like archaic thought, I think. You know, I mean, like, you know, Metallica, like James Hetfield and Lars, like, are not neighbors, you know, like these guys, you know, are all over the place, you know. So like, you know, to expect Zay to live in his apartment in Jersey City with his family like forever is ridiculous, you know. And for us to not be able to think and see past that is, you know, it's not fair to the individual, you know. Yeah, it creates a lot. It puts a lot of things to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, I think as like we grow as people, like Court Order is like this small business that we're running, and now with the way that like COVID has impacted absolutely everything in our community, like it's really creating an opportunity to be a little bit more strategic. And I think that that's why this album is going to be like miles beyond where we were, because you know, instead of coming into the studio and like rushing a single and like trying to figure out what we're doing, like, you know, there's no urgency to it. Like, write the riffs, let's hear what we have, and then
time
like
with it and everything like that, you know.
Yeah, and like I can come up here and like we can, you know, book a studio day, one day to record, one day to write. So I just think I challenge bands out there that are listening to this to think about that, you know, because as time passes and as you grow, like the things that you're into change. I've been into, you know, metal and hardcore for over 20 years, but like there's people that outgrow this stuff, you know. For me, it's not a phase, you know, it's a lifestyle. So, you know, no matter where I am, you know, if I'm in Orlando or if I'm in Brooklyn or in LA, like Court Order is like my baby, you know. And but I think that there's a timing for it, right? In the beginning, like I think it was super important for us to do a bunch of stuff, but now, like, you know, we have 2 EPs out, you know, we have a 12-inch out, we have tapes, like, you know, countless shirts, and like, you know, at this point, like, you know, wherever we are, I think
it's still there, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that'd be a good segue to talk about your guys' live shows now. I know it's been a while since them, but it sucks. I miss them, but I can't imagine what it's like playing them and then not being able to play. Like, I just went to go watch, but you guys actually, you know, put the shit out there. So how's it affected you guys recently?
I mean, yeah, it breaks our heart that we're not playing shows due to this entire situation that we're all in. But we have to make do from what we have. I know some bands are doing like live things and whatnot on Twitch or what have you. Granted, it is helping them out, but it's not always the same. It fixed the needs that we want, and you know, but it's hard, man. It's super hard.
I look at it, it gave us a lot of opportunities to do like more stuff.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
And during this time, I've noticed like this could either like make or break a band. You're seeing bands getting signed, and you're seeing bands like breaking up completely. So like, for us, I think it really, I'm looking at the bright side of it. And
of course.
It's really helping us to improve on more things and do more stuff that we didn't have the time to do.
Yeah, we gotta take our time now. Now we have that like luxury instead of like playing 1 or 2 shows a week, and then like you don't have time to write anymore. All you gotta do is practice and go to work and then do the show and then over and over and over. It's like this is, I mean, it sucks, but like we've done so much that, you know, we just made the best of it, dude. It's great, you know, it's worked out for sure.
Yeah, I think people have lost, like, in the last like 8 months, they've lost a lot more than just shows, you know. So like, we kind of look at it like that. Like, man, there's people out there that are like losing everything, whether their homes, like family members, and like, you know, it's just a fucking tragedy, you know. So like, that's kind of like something that like I'm trying to like work my mindset out of, and like focusing on court order as like a positive thing, because like you turn on the news and it's just like crisis 24/7.
Yeah.
Like you read anything, you're reading sports, you know, COVID. You read business news, travel news, leisure news, everything. It's like COVID knows how to like read and write, man. You know, like absolutely.
That's gonna do your taxes.
Yeah, you know, it's in everything. You know, so like we get to like kind of like turn our back on that and like kind of focus in on what we're doing. And you know, shows are also a big expense, right? Like gas and the vans and printing merch and selling them, and like it's a huge. We reinvest in the band all the time. Like so, all the money that we make from this band, whether it's from most of it is from the merchandise. All of it goes right back into the band. So from being able to kind of take a pause and literally pump the brakes has given us an opportunity to just like go nuts on our merch and like really push ourselves in our social media, work on our SEO, you know, focus and connect and network with blogs and you know, podcasts, and it's actually like been this really rewarding time for us, you know, and we're lucky that we recorded the EP when we did, because it was literally like a week before like everything closed. So that was done in February of this year, and then like literally 3 weeks later we were like, all right, this might be the last time we get together again for like a very long time. But I think what's also really important is like as a band, you're seeing so many things like come up, whether it's like crazy allegations about bands or bands like playing secret shows, and then like there's this huge like reaction to it, and it's like almost like it's taboo, you know, to like even bring people together. Like
Damn
kind of
if you,
like,
damn if you don't kind of thing.
For sure.
yeah, you know. So like what it's made us like have these conversations as like a group, and like, all right, where do we stand on this stuff, you know? Because people were asking us to do shows, and we were like, well, like, you know, if
much
we
as we wanted.
what would our like you think I'm the first one that wants to get out there and be outside Zay's house honking the horn and get him in there, but like we have to really think about like how we represent ourselves and like what message it sends to people, and like we don't want to be hot-headed and just like do whatever we want to do. Like we definitely want to be considerate, but it's brought us to have conversations about like perception of the band that we otherwise probably wouldn't have had an opportunity to have, you know. So it's been very, very challenging because like the live show is everything. Like, you know, like we can get in the studio and print shirts and like, you know, all that. Like, but we're not at the end of the day like a t-shirt company. We're a live band, and like performing arts is everything to us. So it is a tragedy, but you know, we were going like 120% up until then. You know, the last show we had was with Ingested in Cabal at Voltage Lounge, and like we were like second, which was like an honor to be not be the first band to play.
They just shut down, right?
Yeah, dude.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So like we were like the shows were getting bigger and bigger, like the turnouts, you know, and like the turnouts for us and like the merch sales were like it was like you could feel the momentum. So kind of when it just kind of shut down, like, you know, we kind of didn't know where to go from there. But I mean, we did the only thing we knew how to do, and it was get back into the studio and try to keep on keeping on, and
That's it.
you know.
That's great.
So good luck to all the bands that are out there.
When I look around the room, I see like all your merch and everything. I see the hat, see
Oh,
the
yeah.
hoodie, see the windbreaker. Oh, another hat. Yeah, I like the designs on those and
We
everything.
pretty much live in these.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
even kidding.
Yeah.
Who, what do you guys design them yourselves? Do you guys have someone else do it? Like, where do you guys get the ideas from? Because I really like it a lot.
So, I mean, now with Instagram, man, everything's within arm's reach, you know?
Yeah.
Like, even if you want, like, back in the day, if you wanted a tattoo, like, you'd have to, like, go to the local shop and, like, okay, this guy does, like, a
Look through a
good
book
skull and
and everything.
dagger.
Exactly.
Let me do the skull and dagger, you know what I mean? And, like, nothing wrong with the skull and dagger, right? I got skulls and daggers. It's cool.
Right.
All the people out there with skulls and daggers tattoo, like...
Not talking
Yeah, I see a couple of them. So,
Snake
but
the
you can get the ultimate skull and dagger now, right? You see something on Instagram, you can, like, DM somebody and get whatever you want.
It's like,
So,
yo, I want that, man.
yeah, so we have, I mean, it's countless artists, man. You know, we have countless artists. Like, they're not all done for the same person. It's never the design company. We've printed a lot of merch through We Need Merch. It's a company out in I think in Bay Area in California, and Ben Oram, former member of Alt Shell Parish. We've been doing a lot of work with him. And he always cuts us a good deal. So check out We Need Merch. They do a great job. Shipping rates are, if you guys are looking to print stuff, I'll definitely plug them in. And Legacy Printing, also in New Jersey, does a really nice job also. So. We do limited batch of things. We do small batches of everything we do, and we try to sell them to as fast as we can, and that's kind of how we know.
I got one more question.
But, yep.
Please tell me you guys still have that windbreaker. Please. Like on the way in here, I was outside.
Yeah,
I was outside. So
That's
that's
like
since
the
I got to the
gold
door.
hoodie,
Oh,
man.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
everyone
Just drop
wants
me
windbreaker.
what size are you?
Probably like a large, an extra large.
An XL?
Yeah, probably.
XL? All right, I got some XL. Yeah, just DM page address. I'll drop one in there for you. Yeah, my
Thank you.
pleasure.
So let's talk about some stories. I'm sure people want to hear some stories. Let's hear some tour stories or some show stories. Anything you got like that sticks out?
I'm not saying a word. Nope.
There's gotta be some then.
All right, there's something
I
there.
have
Then.
a cute story. Like I like to tell this.
Cute story.
It's when I got introduced to the band. Like no, I played like.
It's like a tour story, man. It's like you coming into the band.
You said tour story.
Yeah, if you have like something that crazy happen at a show, like whatever. Lay it on me.
Oscar loves the moment where he was asked to be in the band after our first show.
Tell it. I'm interested in the story now.
Tell a story, man. I'm sorry.
Tell the story.
No,
Notepad and everything.
It all started.
No, I'm just like it was the second show that I played with them, and I learned all the songs. I was like super excited, and then at the end of the show, he was like, "Oh, you wanna come with me to the car?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, so good job, man. Like, thank you for be here, like, and learn all the songs and play the show with us. Like, you wanna be part of it, like, got official there." And I was like, "Oh, fuck."
Did you imagine he walked into the car and was like, "Yeah, this isn't working, man"?
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be like,
Sorry, bro. Yeah.
It's like I need you to get your shit out of my car.
yeah. So like when I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, no, the thing is, okay, this is like a huge thing for me, like, because I'm from Colombia, and things there like different here, like with the bands and everything. So that's what, like, when I got asked, like, officially, I was like, oh shit, like, I'm a part of something big. I know
Yeah.
that. And now seeing what became like in like a year and a half, so it was like, oh my god, I knew it,
Yeah.
So that's what I like to tell.
That's great. Yeah, you guys are definitely growing fast. I can tell.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, for sure.
All right, I kind of
Exponential.
have one as well. It involves this little crazy dude over here, JD. So, whenever we play a show, obviously we go into the crowd and enjoy ourselves, go in the pit, whatever. The most painful thing he's ever done to me, he slammed me up against the pole at Revolution Bar in Long Island. Rest in peace. It was we played that show. I forgot who we played with.
All these
You guys are
venues.
doing
Yeah,
some
so,
WWE stuff in there.
Obviously, there's no video or anything like that.
That's
So
more
on my
like a
shin,
mosh story.
the next day, it was like a little cut the first day, whatever. It's like this big, whatever. The next day, it just grew and grew like a giant bruise around it. It hurt so bad. But like ever since then, we always have like this friendly crowd kill moment because we were doing it at the Airbnb pretty much half the week we were here.
Yeah.
He comes in our room, he's like, "What are you doing?" Just walks in, goes, "What?" I'm like, "What are you doing?" He just goes, "Boom!"
Oh shit.
Just wait, buddy, wait.
Just fucking each
Sleep
other
with one eye open.
He's out for
bad.
vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going for
It's
blood.
just snowballing. No pun. But yeah, it's like stupid stuff like that. Like you have to keep some kind of sanity to yourself as well. And if you let it dwell and you're like, dude, I gotta get this done, let's do this. No, it's gonna eat you up inside kind of thing. So you have to keep your sanity somehow in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
I have a few favorite moments though. Like since we're like playing a lot of shows, and we also booked a lot of shows. So like me and Ace booked a few shows, and doing those and having like crazy outcomes was crazy. And like having our friends from like Kayanashi coming out and like going to the shows and hopping on the mics and shit, and like that's like an awesome experience. And before I was in the band, I'm a fan of their stuff. So to me, like that's awesome. That's awesome to me. So.
That was a fun particular
And
show.
like
though.
actually like making some money from shows. And,
Yeah, I think that's something that's really cool too. Is like we started to like put our own shows together, and that's something that like we were doing at Lucky 13. We did 2 of them there, and they were all very successful. And then Meat Locker also, we started to reach out to bands that are friends of ours, and some of these shows were like really good turnouts.
Yeah.
I think like what we learned about the shows, like we've lost equipment. I've left cymbal bags behind. We've left we've lost after you start to play so many shows, like you're in and out with all of your equipment. It's like literally like moving like a small apartment, in and out. And like that's what I think that like most bands don't, or like most people that like want to start a band don't realize like how much work it is to like move all their stuff around. Like we play with so many drummers that like you see them show up and like they're not allowed to use their own kit, and then they kind of like, and I used to be the same way. Like I used to hate using a back line. I used to be like, no, it's like my kit or nothing. I got my court order on the bass drum, but then after oh, killing me with this vape, man.
Yeah, I'm over here laughing because like I can hear everything. So you can hear it in the background. In the background, I just hear.
Oh my God. I swear to God, it's not what you think.
Story time with Ace, yo, listen up. So I think that like after a while, we started to like we would hear that there's like a back line there, and like we would be grateful, like, oh man, you mean I don't need to bring my kit? Like all we got to do is like bring the grid wall and the merch, and like we're ready to rock. And like that's something that like you can tell the difference between like a working class band and like a band that just plays like once in a while, because like everything needs to be perfect for that one show. And but at some point you start to play so many times that it's really about like how do you feel this machine, and the craziest story for me, I mean there's nothing crazy about it, but it just shows like the amount of work that goes into this. So we were playing at Reverb in Reading, PA, which is like
middle of nowhere.
About 3 hours from
bumblefuck nowhere.
Yeah, it's out there, right? I mean, but it's famous venue, man. I mean, they do a lot of good shows there. They book a lot of shows there. So like, we really appreciate them having us. Like they're like really like renowned promoters. So, whether or not it's in the middle of nowhere or not, like it's still a venue that gets like a lot of action and notoriety. So like for us to be a part of that show, we were playing with Orthodox, Prison, Slaughter to Prevail. Like we tried to get that show. We tried to get that show in Brooklyn, and we couldn't. So we got on that show in PA, and it was on a Thursday. And the way that we were running the band at the time was, and I think it's like important for people to hear this, because like the perception of who we are and like what it takes to make it happen is like so critical to understanding this. Like we don't have a van as a band. A band that only plays like 4 or 5 shows a month. Like you don't really need a van yet. So the way that we would get there is I would leave Midtown. I had to leave like in the middle of the day. I'm in an office, and I got to tell my manager that I'm bailing at noon. I'm in the middle of a meeting. I take a lift to LaGuardia. I'm working in Times Square. I go to LaGuardia. I rent a car, a van. I go to my house, in my apartment in Brooklyn. I have a storage in the building. I empty it all out by myself. I take everything out. I load everything up into the van. I drive out to Jersey City to pick up Zay, and Oscar, and then JD is already out there like haggling with the promoter that like we're running late because we're stuck in traffic. But like literally, it was like nonstop work from leaving work early to getting the van to get in the cab, to get in the van, to unload everything, to like picking everybody up and then going out that far to make that show happen, to literally play for maybe like, was it 20 or 30 people? Yeah. Like we're, the whole show at the end of the night, like the turnout was whatever. But for us to just like, we were excited to be billed there, to be a part of it, to play the venue. Like the whole experience was so important to us. And then you got to think like, we got to undo all of that on the way home. It's a Thursday night. Like nobody's taking the Friday off to make this happen. And in hindsight, we probably should have. But we drive the 3 hours back, drop everybody off, unload the van, take the van back, take another cab back. But at this point, it was like 4 a.m. And I'll never forget being in my apartment, like after it was done, and just like, and a lot of that is like, just kind of showing the chops that we have, to make it happen. But like, you have to love it. You have to love it, and like, we were talking about that today, like, oh, are these like, there was a King 810 show we were offered, and like we ended up getting another gig, so like there was conflict there, and like we were talking about like when we ended up looking at the footage of the video, like there really wasn't like a good turnout, whether that's the promoter or the local bands. Or I think it's the local band's responsibility to like really amp up some of these turnouts, right? Because like we've seen shows that we promote, and like they're explosive in the very beginning, and like sometimes by the time the headliners are on, it's like trickles.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, right.
But that's one thing that like we were talking about is like, well, you know, there really wasn't a turnout there, so like, you know, maybe it was a good idea that we didn't play it. But then I was like, look, like I challenge you to change that thought process, because any opportunity to play and perform, like now, especially in this environment where nobody has a chance to do it, like I'll take any show. I'll take anything. You know what I mean? Like
The kid's birthday party.
Yeah, all of a sudden, yeah, like
Church.
I'll
Cheese.
play- yeah, I mean, you know,
played at a church before.
some venues that we may have like thought twice about that we didn't want to play. Like now, if I get an opportunity to play it, like I'm not thinking twice. Like I'm out there with all of the stuff. Like I'll stay up for 2 days to make it happen. You know, so I think like we've kind of been given this opportunity to like reassess what we value, but also like every show is an opportunity to work on your stage presence, to learn how to make a contact. I mean, you know, I've been in this for a very long time, and I always talk about a show. In 2003, I saw Between the Buried and Me open up for Stretch Armstrong, and there was literally less people than there are in this room right now. You know, no one was there, and they
That's
opened
like
up
9.
They opened up with Aesthetic, yeah, and two of them were me and my brother, right? So like, you know, and now look at this band. Like they can play anything, anywhere, any size. I mean, you know, they're not playing arenas, but like they're like, you know, they could pack a 2,500 person room like across the country, you know? So like you have to give it the time and the energy and like not be above these opportunities. And like when we've booked our own shows, what we've seen is a lot of bands are like, you know, like, you know, no, we're not going to do an all local show or like all this. And it's like, well, why not? You know? And I think that that's something that's kind of holding our scene back, is that like unless we cultivate our own, like, you know, the likelihood of a label or like some big management company taking an active interest in our community is like, you know, like they're not even taking care of each other. So like, you know,
Because that's where it all starts. It's obviously locals, and obviously you work your way up. If you just want to go completely gung ho right off the bat,
You
not
really
gonna work
noticed
out.
It's not
that.
gonna
You really noticed that, especially when we played that Reading gig, because none of the bands there, and they considered us, we're not locals.
Yeah.
We're not locals.
Yeah.
And like when you're traveling there, and like you have Slaughter to Prevail, and you look them up on YouTube, they have like 15 million views. You know, but like it's so important to have those local bands over there, and
because who are they in Reading? Like, you know, the turnout was all from the local bands.
Exactly.
you know, so.
But yeah, that's one thing that like you just, if you play consistently and like over time, I think that's one thing that we've noticed. And then just like knowing how to like put your foot forward. You know, I've left, like I keep talking about this damn cymbal bag. You know, and if somebody out there at Championship is listening to this and they got that cymbal bag, I hope you enjoy it. All right, I know it's got a Zill bell in there. It weighs like 15 pounds, but so that's it. I think just like, you know, loving the work, loving the entire process of it, like the unloading of the van, the dropping it off, the picking everybody up. Because at the end of the day, like as a drummer in this band, like playing the drums is like 8% of like what I do in this band. You know, the rest is like travel, marketing, merch, fulfillment, design, communicating with the guys, booking hotels, booking cars. Like, there's so many logistics to having this business that, you know, just like the podcast, you know, there's so much equipment that goes into it, organizing the 4 schedules, like, that's what I think people don't really understand, and sometimes you don't give it an opportunity to, like, grow to that, to really experience that, and then try and, like, kind of rework your own relationship with it, and not be frustrated that maybe somebody's not helping you unload the van, and instead just learning how to rewire yourself to be okay with what you're doing.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty crazy that there's all the stuff that goes into it, is scheduling with you guys, us, getting all the equipment together, scheduling the room at Hellhound, just for this 1 hour product. And there's so much that goes into it with the editing, posting on Instagram, you know, getting it out there, getting fans, just this one product, you know. And it's just for you guys, I'm sure there's 100 times more stuff to do with a band, because there's all you guys. You gotta book shows when you're able to. You gotta record your music, merch, management, everything. And there's so much that just goes into this one product, and that's what you guys put out. It's just insane of how much goes into it for just one product.
Yeah, then it's like, what's next?
Yeah.
Seriously.
You listen to an album, and you're like, what's next?
It's like nonstop,
Exactly.
constant
Yeah.
work.
It's always
okay, we just
nonstop,
did
yeah.
this, and
Yeah.
now on to the next.
Yeah.
What's better? Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a sigh of relief after I put out an episode, and I'm like, all right, let's find a next guest.
Next one,
Let's
yeah.
start setting up the new one.
Of course.
Right.
But there's that moment of like gratification as soon as it's done, because you put so much into it that it's just like, yeah, you know, I did that.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't even matter like how many people listen to it. So it's like just so you put it out there, you just are so satisfied with yourself because you scheduled everything perfectly. You got the product done, and that's the biggest like. It's the best part about it, honestly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, good talk, guys.
High five.
I mean, I think like we talk about this all the time, and like we have another interview that we did, and we talk about how there has to be like a pleasure in doing the work, and that's why we like always say we're a working class band, but like there has to be a pleasure in it. Like if we don't enjoy the time that we spend in this Airbnb and like the time that we spend in the studio over there, and like all we're looking for is like, can we get in with Pure Noise? Can we get in with Stay Sick? Can we get in with Death Wish? Like we're fans of all of that stuff, but like. Who knows what they're looking for? And like I know that as a fan of this community, like I'm putting out the product out there that I want to listen to. Like I'm writing music with people that I care about, and like we all have an opinion about it. But like at the end of the day, like is it music that I would listen to? Like is this a show you would listen to? And if that's the case, then keep it up. Like all the other stuff. I mean, look, it's show business. Like right, like we talked about, it's entertainment, and so like
Showbiz, baby.
Yeah, like without an audience, it's like where's the? Because you need that approval. But also, if you don't do it long enough for anybody to listen to it, then how do you expect anybody to listen to it, right? I mean, like we started this band with one single, and we would take a look at our numbers, and like we would have. Like 1,500 listeners to it, and now we take a look at it, and like we actively have like 1,000 monthly listeners listening to the music, and like that might not be like 3.5 million or like 100,000, but like for us, like if you think about it, if you take it back to where we began in a room that we just played like 2 songs that we had, and like we're still trying to piece together, to have 1,000+ monthly listeners is like monumental.
Yeah, because it's not like you guys started out with 1,000. You guys started with 0.
Yeah.
So to work up is still progress.
Like
and it can only go up from there.
Of course.
So it's like and if not, and even if you don't get that, if you're listening to this and you're in a band and you got like 20 something, and it's not like you don't like social media and like all this stuff that it's like being distributed in a certain way to make you feel a certain way, and like you shouldn't have to like. Don't let that get you down. Like, use the work and use the numbers and then analytics to tell you that you're either doing something wrong or there's either something that you're not doing. So don't use it as an opportunity to look at yourself and be like, oh man, like, this doesn't work. Use it as an opportunity to say, well, what are these numbers telling me? And like, what more can I be doing? And like, sometimes it's just like typing some notes in a notes app for tomorrow's post. Sometimes it's just talking to your group about what's next. But like, don't just abandon the damn thing.
Yep.
Because it's not the Joe Rogan podcast on day one. And he even talks about that all the time. He's like, go back to episode 1. Go back to episode 1 where they're just like getting high reading Twitter comments. Like, it's garbage. Like, it's painful to listen to. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing. Like, if you can listen to your stuff today and like go back 8 months and be like, wow, this is like a leap, then like that should be the reward. And you hear a lot of people that are successful tell you that. But like sometimes like it's just like anything in life. You go to your friend's house or something, or like you see like a couple and you're like, wow, like they get along really well. Like I could, maybe I need a girlfriend. And then you go out with somebody and it's just like this Tasmanian devil you bring into your life. So like, it's so hard to not want to compare yourself to other people. And it's so hard to not like want to like compare yourself to like other shows or other bands. And like, it's okay. But to see what other people are doing and like be inspired by it. But it's a completely other thing to just let it take you down this destructive, like self-loathing path that like, that it's programming many people to do, and it's like it's impacting like social, like mental health, But like, that's why I'm like fortunate that we have an opportunity to talk about this, because we always compare ourselves to other bands, But maybe instead of comparing yourselves to like your locals, like compare yourself to like your idols. Like don't compare yourself to like the bands that are rehearsing in your studio. Like take a look at what Rammstein's doing. Take a look at what Slipknot's doing, and like what can you control, to kind of like feed your vision into the world and create that world. So. That's what I think is just paramount, especially when you're talking about like podcasts and bands and comedians, writers. Like sometimes there just has to be a pleasure in the work itself, right? Like you all getting together and just being here and talking about this show and like learning how to use your tools. Sometimes we used to talk about that too. Like I just want to go into the studio to learn. Can we do it?
Yeah.
Right? Like can we do it? And we challenge ourselves to that. Like this process for this album has been crazy, right? Like it was in a Google Drive. And like we were listening to riffs and I'm like tapping on the table like, and like as soon as we got into the room, like within 10 minutes, like we have a song out because, you know, this is an entirely new process. So I think just like looking at it as an opportunity to better yourself, and you know, I know I'm ranting about it, but it's something that I'm definitely passionate about because I've been doing it, you know, for my whole life, you know. So, and hopefully Court Order is the band that, you know, can continue to take us to the next level.
For sure.
All right. You guys, anything? Because I got something if you don't. I was gonna say. So you guys have obviously played a couple shows here and there, you know?
Yeah.
You guys done your stuff.
Yeah.
So you guys ever done a show where the crowd is just not into it, no matter how hard you put it? Because I'm sure you guys go fucking hard on stage because the music definitely goes hard. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you guys reflect that. So you ever just had a show where you just have the crowd, you're like trying to pump them up and shit, you like fucking spin the shit, and they're just not doing it. They're just standing there on the barricade, just sitting there with a beer or something. Just ever, because like I'm sure it's awkward.
Yeah.
Well,
we got a show, but can I tell the story?
Yes.
You have permission.
No, we got a show. We played Revolution, right? And then the first one that they played, they're like a lot of people, and they were like fucking going, and we're like, oh, we're next or third. I don't remember. We're like, oh my god, it's gonna be so fucking cool. It's gonna be a great show for us. We're like all excited, like stretching, you know, like this is gonna be crazy. Then after the first band, everybody went outside.
Just cleared out, dude.
So we started playing, and I remember, and I was like looking at the empty room, and I was laughing. I was like,
It's brutal.
and then I just changed my mind. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go for it. You know, even if it's no, I'm gonna enjoy it. Like that's, but yeah, like that show was like we playing like almost like empty room. It was like some friends, like some like family. They were like in the back, like having.
Revolution's a big room.
Yeah,
it's a big room, you know. So like, even if you have 30 people there and they're like hanging out by the bar and like around the merch area, it's like it's just desolate.
Yeah, it's a small 30.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that the majority of their shows have been very successful. I think that's something that we would always say. Like, you know, in the beginning when Zay and I were starting to play shows, you know, before we were a three-piece, you know, in the beginning, before JJ, Oscar, and JD were in the band, like, we were playing these shows, and, like, there was always people there, and they were always buying merch. And I was like, dude, we gotta, like, get the banner. We gotta get our, like, banter right. We need to, like, come correct, because in the tri-state area, like, there's always people at bars and clubs, and I was like, I'm not coming to these shows with people not knowing that Court Order is playing here tonight. And so that was it. But I think, like, when we experienced that at Revolution, like, it literally, like, kind of made me realize, like, wow, as a fan, like, how maybe my behavior was perceived by other bands when I was like, oh, I'm going to go outside because, like, I don't, you know, I'm not really in the mood for this. Because a lot went into it. And, like, you look at footage of that show and, like, we're still crushing it on stage. And, like, the set was phenomenal. It's like, they're missing out. But at the end of the day, that was very, it was disappointing. But you hear a lot of bands talk about that.
Yeah, it's not right, though. But here's two other things as well.
We aren't the locals, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Granted, like, yes, if you're going to a show, support everyone. That's one of the biggest things there. Second is, you can't always, like, someone wants to throw down, cool. You can't always force them to do so. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink it. Same as that premise. So by them going outside, yeah, it hurt, but it is what it is. They're people. They all have their own choices. They have their own mindset to do what they want. You know, we can't tell them what to do. You know, it's not like, hey, you can't go outside. You stay here and enjoy the show. It's like, no. You want to enjoy yourself somehow? All right, fine. Go ahead.
Lock the doors.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, people are going to do what people are going to do. You know, I've been in bands when I used to tell the singer, I was like, all right, as soon as I hit the snare and the kick, I'm like, I need you to be like, all right, everybody, open up. And he's like, he looked at me, he's like, dude, people are going to do what people are going to do, man. All right, like, I'm not, you know, and so you just have to do what's natural to you. But, like, us being that band now, what I learned from that is, like, when we go and we open up and we play in other communities and other scenes, like, we stay to the end. Like, we don't unpack our merch. We sit there with our wall. We deal with everything. Like, I will always be the last person to leave the room. Like, the lights come on. Like, you know, they're starting to sweep around me. And like, then I go. Because so much goes into it. And being a part of it, like, you definitely see that. But you also got to learn how to deal with that rejection, man. Like, you know, once you're, like, how many haters does Nickelback have?
They have more meme pages than haters.
Right? But, I mean, but also how many people enjoy it? You know what I mean? Not saying I'm a Nickelback fan, you know? that's not what the takeaway is. Court orders drummer says Nickelback is his favorite band. that's what we take away.
But under the covers, she's like, oh.
No, but that's what happens. Like as we started to see our videos and like our things come up on some of these channels on YouTube, like and it starts to get like a couple thousand views. Like you start to read the comments and like like some of it is just like really ignorant stuff, and it's people just sitting at home in their pajamas and just firing away, and they're getting a gag.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
They're getting a gag from it. But to us, it's like our life's work, So like you got to just think positive and be constructive and like.
And let people do what let people do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can't fight fire with fire, man. As long as you're doing what's true to you.
Yeah, just never give haters attention. It's just
for sure.
It's not worth it.
No,
it's just let it rock.
It happens, man. Like every band's gonna experience it. I was just listening to the podcast on Scope with Gulch. He was saying like, we playing the show with our friends with Hands of God, and like they didn't even stay for our set. We played to no one. Our friends were even outside.
That's so messed up.
They're like our friends, they're just probably just doing something else, but they weren't even there. So it happens, man. And they got Revolver.
Oh, they were top 5 albums of the year, man. So I mean,
in your face, man.
It happens, man. It is what it is. And how many people walked by that second stage in '99 when Slipknot was playing, and we're getting beers.
Yeah, seriously.
And now
everyone starts somewhere. Everyone always, starts with a small show. You don't start out with 10,000 fans in the crowd. So
I feel like that's a lot of people's problem too. They expect to start out with that following. That's why people end up giving up so fast because they understand it takes time. You're not going to immediately get that following. You just got to put your effort into it, and that effort will show in the numbers eventually.
Yeah. Like for this, I didn't expect us to blow up at all. And I don't want to say we're blowing up, but we're going at a modest pace. But
you're climbing a ladder is what you're doing.
Yeah, by our second podcast, we hit 200 streams on Spotify. That's not to mention YouTube and Apple Podcasts. We're going somewhere. So you guys have what, 2 EPs out now, and you guys already have 4,000 followers on Instagram. Everyone's moving somewhere. So we're all moving at our own pace and
Part of it is you guys too. We're at 5 right now. Most of the every interview we do or podcast we do, the band or the band member, they'll post one picture, and their fans will go, "Hey, I want to see this," and it's just like a teamwork thing. It's all working together. We posted, they posted, people want to see it, and then there it is.
Yeah, it's helping each other out. If you guys, you give us 5 fans, and then we'll give you 5 fans. Just it could be 1, it could be 100.
It's more you guys giving us fans, though.
Yeah, seriously,
Yeah, and that one fan could be the person who shows somebody who could really make a difference.
Yeah,
exactly.
Of course.
Yeah, and it just goes exponential at that point. One person shows 2, those 2 show 2 more, and
goes from there.
Oh, what's that proper saying?
Pyramid scheme.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's true though. We, I think something that's that a lot of people don't use social media for is to network. Some people just look and but if you comment, those are real people, right? So a lot of people don't answer because maybe you get swamped in DMs or whatever. But many times, I would see pages representing the court order page, and I would send out, oh, this is a really cool feature, nice job, really like what you did there. You get, for every 100 no's, you get the 1 yes, but you only need 1, right? We say that this is something that I say all the time in business. That's what's cool about business is that you can strike out countless times, but you only need to be right once, right? You only need that 1 guest, right? Yep. That really elevates the game. Or you only need the 1 person to listen to it. That's CEO of Warner Brothers or whatever. And that's how we got in contact with Georgia from Discovered. Shout out to Georgia from Discovered. Yep. This lady flew in from the UK. She was a tour manager for many, many bands, and she came in and did an awesome feature on us, and it was a really cool opportunity to network with her. And unfortunately, that magazine was supposed to be distributed at Download, Graspop, and Hellfest, and then all the festivals got canned. But you never know, right? Initially, she was like, "Wow, I got this message from you guys. I thought it was just spam," but then I looked, and you guys are a real band, and we created that network. So that's something that I encourage everybody to do, is like not trying to like give out all our tricks, but like many people just look at social media as like this aesthetic thing, you know, but if you filter it right and you use it as a tool to really network, which is like kind of the foundation of what it was meant to do, and not divide us, but really bring us together. And like that's how you can really increase a lot of your connection with your fans, whether it's listeners, followers. Like, you know, sometimes it's just liking a couple pictures, leaving a comment, and then, you know, you kind of make a new fan. So, you know, just do the damn thing. You know, it's easier said than done, for sure, but you got to start somewhere, you know.
Absolutely. You guys got anything?
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we're going to close it up here.
Thank you.
Good.
It's been a great episode.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
It's been an honor having you
I
guys.
felt like there was a camera here. Oh my god.
Yeah, right? See a camera? That's a clock. All right, well, great episode, guys. Appreciate you having on.
Thank
We'll
you so
definitely have you guys on
Appreciate
soon
it.
again. Maybe we can get new music out.
Thank you.
Of course.
So, you guys, take care.
Thank you.
Peace.
Take care.